we get them to do things that they didn't know they could do.
Mm.
And once you get them to do something they didn't know they could do, now all of a sudden they trust you, and now they'll do anything you want. And so now you can really push them and get them to go to higher levels. And to me, that's kind of the art of coaching, is that we want them to do, really get them out of their comfort zone and get them to do something they didn't know they could do.
Welcome to the Jamodi Podcast, where we interview coaches and leaders to find out not just what they do, but how they do what they do. Becoming the best version of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it. Today we are joined by assistant men's basketball coach of Southern Methodist University, Mike Hatch. After 32 seasons as a high school coach, Coach Hatch recorded 614 wins with 16 playoff appearances and 11 Coach of the Year awards. In his 3 seasons at SMU, the Mustangs have won the 2019-20 Southwestern Showdown, earned a bid to the 2021 NIT, and had 7 All-American Athletic Conference honorees. Before we hear from Coach Hatch, take a moment to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media at Jamodi Podcast.
All right, Matty, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man.
There he is.
I think, there we go.
Yeah.
Do you see me?
Yeah, I can hear you, see you. Everything's fine. How are you, man?
Oh, gosh, I'm doing great. Let me turn my volume up a little bit so I can hear you. There we go.
Okay.
Oh, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm good. Me getting to sit here and talk with you, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you, man. It's exciting for me, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. Nobody really wants to talk to you anymore when you're an assistant. This is one of those things.
Not true, but you had such a huge influence on me growing up. I mean, I tell players all the time, it's like Coach Thomas taught me a lot from year to year, but I got seen and noticed and found during summer ball, and that's a large part to you and the opportunity you gave me.
Well, thanks. It was a treat to coach you. Now, if I had guys like you every year, they'd build a monument out in Northwest High School. I tell you that for sure. That's the truth there.
How does culture drive performance?
Well, I mean, first of all, I mean, culture to me is maybe the number one thing in your program. It's bigger than X's and O's to me. It's how you're going to be defined. It's how your team's going to be looked at by every other coach, every other fan, anything like that. So culture is something that, you have to stick to it. And there's a lot of reasons not to, because, your best player comes in and he gives you the excuse of why he's late. And then, you go, oh, God dang, he's our best player. Do we really need to run everybody? He may have a good reason. Train came to the train track. He didn't know the train was coming, blah, blah, blah. We've heard all those. And, and you can't let up on that. I mean, that's just something that is reality. I mean, your best player, if you don't hold your best player accountable just like you do your 15th player, or like for us, we always manager. It doesn't make any difference who you are. Everybody's held to the same standard. And as long as you do that and they realize it, that they know that you are going to hold, just say for us, Avery Anderson, just as accountable as the manager, then pretty soon they have first of all, they have another respect for Avery Anderson, but then also they realize that Avery has respect for them, and it doesn't have anything to do with being how good a player you are. It has to be a part of being a group, a family, a team. This is what it's a team sport. So if you're going to have a team, everyone's got to be held to the same standard. If you hold everybody to the same standard, then I believe pretty soon they won't want to let each other down. Yeah. So now your performance rises, because I don't want to let Matt Saman down. He's on our team. He's a forward line, and Matt's worked his butt off, and he does all these things. And, we got to hold everybody to that same standard. And I think it's just so important. And I see a lot of coaches watch, and especially in today's environment and society where everyone's got an excuse for something they didn't get to do. Something happened, I didn't get it done. And yeah, I mean, I've never been one to hear excuses. I don't care nothing about why you didn't get it done. All I want to know is, did you get it done or not? Yes or no? And if you're going to let all the gray area get into it, then I think you're going to underachieve. I think if you hold them accountable and did you get it done? Yes. Oh, that's great. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we took a step in the right direction. And to me, that's a life lesson because that's what we all are doing. You're a coach, and all of us coaches are all trying to get on the same level. Now, we all coach differently.
Mhm.
I mean, I coach very hard in some people's eyes, I'm sure. But our players all knew it, and they all come in there with the same thing as opposed to just say, I'll use my son as an example, but he doesn't coach as hard as I do as far as, barking at him and that kind of stuff. But he gets the same thing out of them. So it's, we all do it a different way. But once they see how you're going to be and you've established what you're going to do, then I think you got a chance to be really successful. And I mean, culture to me is even bigger than X's and O's. And so I think it absolutely drives performance, and it'll absolutely erode your team if you don't
Mhm.
have good culture.
I think something unique you said is you have to stick with it. So I mean, we go into every season having these great plans, and this is how we're going to be. And then the moment that we're tested, and it's always tested by, will I hold my best players to the standard that I said I was going to? But sticking
Absolutely.
with it, yeah. How challenging is that, especially at your level, to do that?
Well, obviously, it's extremely challenging, especially to me in our society the way it is right now, because everyone's got somebody in their ear, and everyone's got a reason why Joe Blow gets to take all the shots and I don't get to take quite as many. And there's all kinds of things that go on, and I think it's a fine line you walk. And unfortunately, once you let your culture down, it's hard to get it back up
Mm,
again. And if you lose respect for your players because you allowed somebody to get away with something, then I think it gets tough. And so holding them accountable, even at the college level, I'll be honest with you, I watched Gonzaga and Baylor, who are the two premier programs in the country right now. And I see, I mean, those two teams, I see culture. Those two, and I don't know, I'm just watching as a fan, just like
mhm.
most people are from the outside looking in. And I just love what I see. I don't see those guys, putting their palms up when Scott Drew gets on them or Mark Few gets on them. I don't ever see that look like, what are you talking about, or anything
Yeah,
like that. I never see it. So that tells me that he has their respect,
yeah. And
and that when
trust,
he says something,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. They trust him, right? So if he's getting on them or if he's telling them something, they're listening. They respect what he's saying, and it's you played for uniquely enough for Scott Drew back in the day when they weren't at this level.
No, we
So,
were.
and he's the same coach then, I believe. You've said
Yeah,
it many times. I mean, you have
yeah.
so much respect for him that, I mean, he's the same coach then as he is now.
Mhm.
And we went down and scrimmaged them at SMU. We went down and scrimmaged them, I guess it's 3 years ago. And it's the same thing. I mean, we played. He's the nicest guy ever. And as is his whole staff, and treats you with respect no matter what. And then we all get together and we pray after the game. I mean,
Yeah,
it's the same thing. I think it's been going on for 20 years at Baylor with
yeah,
him.
yeah.
And I just think that he has established a culture there. I don't see kids transferring out of Baylor. I mean, there are. I mean, it's rampant in college basketball right
Yeah.
now. I mean, there's over 1,500 guys in the portal, and
Wow.
I don't know if now we end up getting Tristan Clark at SMU, but Tristan couldn't go back to Baylor. Was the
Yes.
one deal,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so I mean, that's one reason why he's not there. And I mean, you don't see guys leave Baylor,
Yeah.
and that's unique, I think, in this day and time because they have really good players. They
Mhm.
have really good players sitting over on their bench that aren't really getting to play that much
Right.
because their other guys are so good. And so it's just unique. I think it's cool that what he's done there and how they do it, and to say how he's done. I mean, I'm sure he's highly respected because he does things right. He emulates a person that he wants them to be, and
Yeah.
they respect who he is, and he doesn't try to be who he's not. And I think it's the easiest or the best way to get the guys to respect you and to have culture is be who you are. Everybody's
Yeah.
not the same, and so That's a hard one right there, man. I got to tell
Yeah.
you, that's a tough one to hold guys accountable at this level is really, really tough.
I think what's inspiring to anybody is authenticity. And so when players or people, when they can tell that who you are or who you're presenting is the real deal, the real you, and
Right.
they're probably going to get on board more or easier with you.
Sure, sure. Absolutely. That's exactly right. And, in college basketball now, because a lot of them are recruiters, which it used to be, in my opinion, 20 years ago, slashed used car salesmen, where they just tell you whatever they think they got to tell you to get you to come. And, now they have to be a little more transparent, a little more realistic. And, they kind of have to tell you the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I tell you something that's not happening at our school that I told you was going to happen, they're leaving. I mean, it's nothing to transfer now. You didn't ever hear kids transferring 25 years ago, hardly
Right.
ever.
Right.
Now, I mean, like I said, I think there's only like 4,300 total Division One athlete basketball players, and over 1,500, which means over 33% of them are in the portal right now to transfer.
Yeah.
And we just shake our head every day at it. We go, "Holy smokes!" I mean, it's unbelievable. And I don't know exactly where we're headed with that. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily down a good road or not. I think it
Well,
will cut back eventually
yeah.
because 1,500 of them are in there now. You can't do it twice. You can only do it once. So
The
I think it'll
challenge, the
cut back.
challenge seems like it's going to be, how do we create basically a new team dynamic and culture every single year? Because the
Absolutely.
odds are that half or three-fourths of your team could be different from dudes graduating and then dudes transferring and new guys coming in. So those we're talking about culture, those that have a strong idea of what they're about, what they want their programs to be about, and can bring in guys that fit that, they may be able to still do it year after year after year, but no doubt challenging.
Yeah, and to make it even more, I mean, it's just what you said. You're 100% right. It's year to year now. It's because we can get the transfer now to come in immediately and play. I mean, the goal is to get old. I mean, Baylor had a bunch of transfers on their team. Now,
Mm-hmm.
so did Gonzaga.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them have guys that transferred in. They were huge parts of their team. And so now, I don't care if it's SMU, I don't care who it is. It's get old.
Yeah.
And as you get old, you get those more experienced players. You got a chance to win and get something done. If you're not old and you get those freshmen, there's a chance you're not going to be all that successful, and then they're going to leave because
And
you're not
they're
all
going
that
to go.
successful. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy. The year of the 5-year player is just about. I don't know. That's going to be hard. That's maybe obsolete. I hope it's not, but I got a feeling.
The Jamodi podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products. What is your morning routine or your favorite daily activity?
Well, my morning routine is my favorite part of the day. First of all, it's I get up about 4:30 usually, and I will start the coffee, get the music on. I usually got some 70s or some country. It's one of those two every morning. Same thing, and then I'll go to reading. I read the newspaper, read Star Telegram every day, and then I'll go to the D1 ticker, which is about college athletics, what's going on in college athletics, and then well, now since the coronavirus, I've gotten into the stock market. I never was in the stock market before. But because we had so much time on our hands last summer, our coaching staff sitting in the offices, and none of us were in the stock market really at that point, but some of them have parents that are in it that are stock investors type thing. They're advisors, so they're giving us stock tips. Now we're on the stock market, so we look at everything. It's a bad idea. It's looking at it every day. So I think it's a good idea to be in it. It's a bad idea to look at it every day, especially this week. This week's been terrible.
Yeah.
But then I'll get through all that, and then I'll do if we're in August when we start practice, we take practice every day. So that'll be my time to watch practice, and we'll go through. I'll watch all the drills and everything to see what's wrong. And then usually what we do once we get to the office is we all get together and we talk about what we need to do that day. So I'll watch film. If it's my scout, then I will watch film in the morning of the team that's coming up that we usually watch anywhere 5, 6, 7 games of the team we're getting ready to play, and all of us have scouts. So that'll be my time to do that because no one's bothering me. It's about 2.5 hours, usually 2.5 hours of quiet time, which I really treasure. It's my favorite part of the day. After that, I'll play. Usually I'll do one Sudoku, one solitaire game, and one game of backgammon. Then I go get ready for school.
I love it. I love it.
That's every morning now. That's every morning.
I'm impressed with the 4:30 a.m. Have you always been a morning guy? Like you enjoy getting up like that? What about going to bed?
As it turns out, I love to, but I really would like to sleep to 6:30 or 7 if I could. I just cannot do it. I don't know what's the matter with me in that sense. I sleep pretty hard for about 5 hours, and then I have to get up, and I don't know. I can't go back to sleep, so I just started getting up, and it's been really nice because it's quiet. I just sit there and listen to music and try and do a little reading.
I've always been interested in people's morning routines or daily habits that set them up for success. Well, when you knock out those things, boom, 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 in those 2.5 hours, just what does that mean to you, or what does that make you feel like?
Feels like I've accomplished something, to be honest with you. It feels like I've done something. I started my day out right. And, days when if we don't have to be at the office early, I usually go walk for 45 minutes also. So then I really feel like I've got something done. I've actually exercised a little bit. I've used my mind a little bit. I'm scared to death as you get older, where your mind's going to go. So you're always doing something to try and, get your mind working. And I really do. I feel like I've accomplished something. I'm a little bit on top of what current events is and, all the things going on in the world, so that if I have to get caught off in a conversation about something, at least I might feel it should have been something worthwhile. And it just makes me feel good, to be honest with you. It's kind of a confidence builder.
What's your favorite shooting game?
Okay, now this is a good game right here. This is Money Basket. I don't know if you've ever seen Money Basket. It's like we do it at SMU. We do it with our guys. But it's really was when I first saw it, it was created as a camp game. It's the greatest camp game ever. Because here's what you do. Okay, so just say you got the 6 baskets in the gym. You got 2 teams at each basket at the elbow. Okay, so you got 6 baskets. You got that'd be 12 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like in camp, we may put 8 or 10 people on a team. And then there's one basket that is the money basket.
Okay.
All right. So now so the first one to make 3. So whoever makes 3 first. So you shoot it, you go get the rebound, you throw it to the next guy in the line. All right. So everyone gets a chance to shoot. If you win, you go to the next basket. If you lose, you stay where you're at. Once you get to the money basket, one basket every day is designated as the money basket. Then you get a point. You don't get a point for winning any of those other baskets. The only time you get a point is when you win at the money basket. So this is a game. So when you get the money basket, if you win, you stay. The loser's got to move. And then they got to go all the way back around again to get back to the money basket. So this is a game that literally you could play for an hour at camp. It's the greatest camp game ever. As far as a time filler, and the kids love it. They're running, they throw the ball, give it here. It's very competitive. But we do it with our basketball team at SMU. To be honest, we do it on 4 baskets, and it's just a little competition. Just get them to get a lot of shots up, get some blood flowing. We do it at start practice sometimes just to change things up from something different that we've been doing. But that's my favorite. Money Basket's what it's called. I'd be glad anybody gives a hoot about it. Draw it up. It's really simple. You just get on the elbows and blow the whistle, put time on the clock, and let's go.
I love it. I'm definitely at our faith camp this summer. Money Basket will definitely be a game that we do. But I love the idea too that a college program doing a game like this that just so many times we talk about shooting games. Like obviously we want pressure and we want them to be taking those game shots and to be feeling that same type of anticipation, anxiety, whatever that real game shooting does. But then it's also fun to see college players show joy with playing the game that most of us started playing this game because it was fun to throw a round ball into a round hoop before it got all complicated. So I love that idea of watching college players have fun like that.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun. It is fun. They talk a little smack and that kind of thing once they hit the game when it's day. It is. It's neat to see them have fun.
Coaches, the Jamodi podcast is powered by Ballology. What's your BSA score? The Ballology Skill Assessment is the only verified skills metric endorsed by the NIA and NJCAA to discover and develop the best talent for your team. This 10-minute, 100-shot test can be taken for free today on the Ballology mobile app. Elevate your game. How do you handle defeat directly after a game with your team in the locker room?
Yeah, first of all, this bothers me more than anything, really, is that our society takes defeat so personally. I mean, it's a game, and it's gotten so big in our lives, sports has. And our society is just like so embarrassed if they get beat. And for me, nothing made I always scheduled games that I thought, maybe not that we would get beat, but that we certainly we could get beat. And we probably had a good chance to get beat again, against some certain teams. I just thought our teams grew so much when you got beat, because it grounds them, it makes them put their feet back on the ground and go, hey, we're not invincible. And, obviously we've all had teams, if you've coached, you've had teams who were pretty good, and you've also had teams who were pretty bad. You just didn't know if they're ever going to win. But either way, that's part of life. You're going to get kicked in the gut every now and again, and you're going to go down, and you're going to have to respond. And so one of the first things I'll tell them all to do, because usually when we got beat, they're all coming in, they're hanging their heads, and that drives me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody get your head up. No one's going to the whipping shed, or we're not going to shoot nobody. It's a game, okay? Here's what's got to happen, though, is we got to learn. And so usually I'll get their perspective on it. I'll say, what did you guys think went wrong? You guys tell me. How in the world does that team beat us? And it could be a team that upset us. It could be a team that's better than us. It doesn't matter. It's all the same. I want to know, what do you think? What did you see? What did you feel? So we try and get their perspective, and then I'll tell them what my perspective was, what I saw. We didn't play hard enough, or we didn't block out, or we got to shoot free throws better, or take care of the ball. And usually, once that's over with, I'll sum it up afterwards, a little bit about what they said, a little bit about what I saw, and I may throw out something that we did really well. But then we're going to go watch film, and that's what I'll tell them. I'll say, look, tomorrow's a big day for us, and we've got to learn from what happened tonight. And so get home, get a good night's sleep, drive safe, get back up here tomorrow, and we hit that floor. Let's get ready to tune in and pay attention to what's going on. We got to get better. And usually that's it. I don't try, and there's not very many times I've gone in there and just railed them for stuff, unless they were just sleepwalking. It's really more of a learning experience than it is anything else.
I like it. So your approach it starts in that locker room, but then it also, you lead them into what the next day. So it's not just go think about this all night. Hey, here's what's going to happen in the future. Tomorrow we're going to watch some film. We're going to get better. What's interesting with you, Coach, is that you've coached at so many levels. So your perspective is really interesting. So like for a high school coach that is in charge of scheduling, I've always been on the fence of like with this team, can they handle a schedule that's challenging, that will punch them in the face, knowing that hopefully it'll make them better? Or do I need to give them a schedule that will create confidence? Like, is it more about knowing the type of kids you have, or can you just schedule tough no matter who you have and work and walk them through it?
Yeah, I do not believe you schedule tough no matter who you have. I will say that. I think kids, especially if they're not really good players, have always been told they're not really good players. So if you play a really tough schedule, you got a chance to beat them down, and they're not super confident to begin with. What we do typically, or what I would do with a team that I was not sure of, is we would have one or two games in there that I knew were going to be tough. I also would have 3 or 4 or 5 games in there that I thought we were going to win. and then we might play in the Whataburger tournament, a really tough tournament. And then we might play in a tournament that I thought we might have a chance to win, and just try and mix it up a little bit where we got a little bit of everything. And hopefully they would grow on those times when we were really good. And, the Whataburger tournament for us was usually the barometer of where our team was or not. And that's I wouldn't recommend that for everybody. I'll tell you that because you go over there. We did go over there a couple times and got lit up. I mean, we got beat by 30 or 40. It was embarrassing. It was like, oh my God, we need to call it at halftime and just move on because it was, it just happened that year. We either had an injury or something happened. We didn't have all our guys, maybe something, you just don't know. But I do think that if you have a good team, I would schedule up. I would not be afraid to get beat. And the last few years I was at Northwest, I mean, we took on all comers. We played whoever would play us, and we tried to find, as tough a game as we could find. And, it just builds confidence. When you play a really tough schedule, it builds confidence. Now, a really tough schedule for that team at Northwest and a really tough schedule for, just say, the Halton Buffaloes is two different things. You got to know what your team can do because you don't be playing the same schedule that Duncanville's playing if you're not Duncanville type talent. So, you just gotta, I do think you gotta be careful that way. I would not put my kids in a situation where we're going to be 2-10 going into district play. I don't want to be there. I do like them to be challenged, but I do think you got to win some games.
Yeah. I think that's the art of it, right? That's the art of coaching and scheduling is knowing what your guys can handle, wanting to put them in positions where they're going to be pushed and get better. But I've also thought too, do my guys learn more during losses or during wins? I don't know. It's really more about the quality of the game, how we competed. I think a lot of confidence can be gained from wins, but then I also see the side where some guys some coaches are they almost take pride in the toughness of their schedule and never mind the amount of wins or losses. It's just a tough art to learn.
Well, they got some tough kids too, is what I would say if they're going to do that. Because it's just not. And I think it's always been this way. This isn't so much just now, society now. It's just always been tough with, if you got, if you got tough kids, you can put them in tough situations. If your kids are not that tough, you better be careful about throwing them into those tough situations. You're going to find out that that might have been a mistake because that doesn't generally build confidence when you throw them into the fire and they're not really ready for the fire.
I'll go with this question next is, how do you build confidence in players?
Well, I just think demanding, you've seen me coach and stuff before, and I'm very demanding of our players. And sometimes it's not, all that nice sometimes. And I feel like they have gotten to where I want them to get when me barking at them doesn't even bother them. That is, they hear me, and that's it. They're listening. They don't care what the tone is. They got the message, and they move on. And they get to a point to where we get them to do things that they didn't know they could do. And once you get them to do something they didn't know they could do, now all of a sudden they trust you, and now they'll do anything you want. And so now you can really push them and get them to go to higher levels. And to me, that's kind of the art of coaching, is that we want them to do, really get them out of their comfort zone and get them to do something they didn't know they could do. And, our jobs are based on wins and losses, which is a shame because that's really not what it's all about. They're a byproduct of what we do. And I've had some great teams that I love that didn't win a lot. They weren't great players, but they were kids that did what we asked them to do, and they were, they tried to do it. And, I believe they're going to be successful individuals. It didn't have anything to do with winning a basketball game or losing a basketball game, and I like to win just as much as the next guy. But the reality is our job is to try and teach these guys something that will then carry over into their lives because as we all know, we all hit speed bumps and there's potholes here and there, and we all got to get through it. If we're just going to crawl in a hole and die because something didn't go our way, life's going to get hard. And I've always felt like me being demanding on them put them in a position where that's just going to be life. People are going to expect you to be on time and to do things exactly right. And if you can do things exactly right, be on time, I don't care how talented you are, you're going to be successful at something. And so I just always felt like that built confidence. We tried to get them out of their comfort zone. And once we got them to do something they didn't think they could do, then, I mean, I think their confidence just kept going and going and going. It became better players. It became better students. They were better people in the hallways. I mean, it just, their whole lives got better. And, you know, most people don't see it that way. They're worried about if you scored 12 points the other night or not.
Yeah, I think I hit the kind of the jackpot in as far as high school coaches go, with Coach T being my high school coach and then you being my select coach in that very important year. And one thing I really appreciated about you was, I mean, we had a lot of talented guys on that team, and it could have been very easy for you to just sit back and just kind of relax or let us go. But man, you coached us really hard where we were getting, so we go to our high school and get a quality experience, but then in our select ball, it was an extension of that and even more. I always really appreciated that about you, is that how much you did demand from us.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate you saying that. You never really know, just whether you do too much or not, especially when you got elite players, to be honest with you. I mean, some guys appreciate, some guys don't. That was a unique group you played with. That was a good team.
Yeah, but then it's also their choice. Like, I think we got to remember that players do have a choice. They have a choice on whether to trust us or not. They have a choice on whether to accept the vision or belief that we see in them. They have a choice in that. And so guys choose to, I'll handle your type of coaching. I can see the benefit or not. But that's their choice.
Sure. Absolutely. That's exactly right.
The Jamodi podcast is powered by The Laser, the most advanced basketball training system ever created. It's designed to help players develop their change of speed, pace, and direction. This state-of-the-art and award-winning technology tracks every move of your body and every bounce of the ball, while it gives you video-based instructor-led guidance through over 275 signature NBA drills, workouts, and brain exercises scientifically proven to train the reaction time and decision-making for real in-game situations. For more information, check out handlefitness.com. What's one thing you would do differently if you could start over in coaching?
Wow, that's a great question. I think I would be a little more of a sponge than I was. I came from playing for Coach Kruger, who was at Oklahoma, for Lon Kruger. And so most of the stuff I did was what he had taught and early on, and I didn't deviate from that. And I mean, I was way more about, long, hard practices. And I mean, as I got older, I'm like, oh my God, was that dumb? I mean, what an idiot. I mean, these guys, I got them in there 3.5 hours. I mean, we're doing defensive drills for about 2 hours. I mean, it was just so, it's just me being just overcoaching the crap, just trying to get them to do it all in one day. And then we did it again the next day and the next day. And it was just, if I had to do it all over again, I mean, just because Tyler, my son, is coaching also, I said, look, man, you got to get it done in 2 hours. Really, don't try and go longer than 2 hours. These kids today, if they know you're just going 2 hours, they'll get it done. And you'll get a lot out of them in that time frame. If you have to go 3 hours, in my opinion, you've lost. You're wasting time. All you're doing is wearing them down, and you're not getting nothing. I believe hardly anything is getting done in the last 45 minutes. Now, that being said, I would say early in the year, you might have to go a little longer because you're talking a little bit more and you're trying to teach
more teaching.
More. Yeah, right. So it takes a little bit longer. But if I had to do it all over again, that was one thing. I could save 2 hours every day of my life for about 10 years of not going 3 or 3.5 hours practices and just cut it down to 2. I don't know. I was full of myself that time and thought that was the way to go.
I appreciate that honesty, and there's probably some players from back in the day that if they listen to this, they would say, "Yeah, coach, it was too long. It was too long." But one thing you said, I love that idea of being a sponge. When you're first starting out, or really at any point. Like, I feel like I'm I'm still learning new things and ways to be more efficient and better. But the way that you had learned it doesn't necessarily mean it's the way that you have to do it. And I think a powerful moment comes from when you almost take ownership of the culture of your program, the style that you want to play and what you want to do. It's yours. It's not just what you learned, or not that there was anything wrong with that, but I think there's something
Sure.
powerful in that moment.
Sure. I'll tell you something else that I think it's important for especially high school guys. Now, back when I was coming up in the 80s, you would go to clinics. You go to the ABC clinic, or you go to a Nike clinic or something. You hear guys speak, and that's fine. And I think it's good, but I think you'll learn more by going to practice. And nowadays, you're allowed to go to the college practices, and you really find out a little bit. Like they may give you a drill at the clinic, but they will show you the ins and outs of the drill when you go see them in person.
That's a good
and
point.
You go watch a practice in person. And for the last, 20 years probably of my high school coaching anyways, I would try and go to college practices in the fall and just try and go and see what they do, how they do it. And then most of them will listen to questions afterwards. And the assistants certainly will.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great way to learn because it's really pretty bare and right in front of you. I mean, all you got to do is pay attention and watch. And then if you have questions, you ask afterwards. And if you could just pick up one thing every time you listen to someone speak, or every time you went and watched someone practice, you're going to have a wealth of knowledge by the time you get through coaching.
Who are some of your favorite practices to listen to or learn from?
Well, I got to tell you this. I mean, I would encourage everyone to go see Coach Jankovic coach, because I think he's very good at breaking stuff down and coach. I tell you, I saw Doc Sadler at Nebraska. He's now the assistant at Nebraska now, but he was the head coach at Nebraska at the time. And he did a lot of, just a lot of fundamental stuff that, we as high school coaches think the college guys, that they don't do any of that fundamental stuff, but they do that fundamental stuff. And it's, it's a big part of it. If you're not doing it, then they probably don't know how to do it. So anyways, I saw Doc Sadler. Rick Barnes at Texas was good. I went and watched them practice one time. I'll tell you what, I saw Bobby Knight one time, and it's kind of interesting. It's interesting. It's just fun, just because you hear the stories and stuff. And he was, he was intense and he was good, but at that time he was kind of sitting back a little bit. And okay, so my all-time favorite would be Eddie Sutton, and Coach Sutton coached the way all old school guys would like to coach, and that is he coached every single element of the play. In other words, you had to set the screen at the right level, you had to at the right angle, you had to come off the screen at the right angle, you had to deliver the ball on time, then you had to open up, and everything had to be done exactly right, or we stopped and you went again. And it was just, nobody does it now because the guys are like, geez, come on, let's go, let us play. But Coach Sutton, that just sticks in my mind. I mean, the way he coached was it's just so detailed, and he did not let you move on until you got it. And I was always impressed with it.
Well, Coach, this is awesome. Are you ready for the speed round?
I guess, yeah. Is there something I need to be prepared for?
Speed round, 30 seconds. 30 seconds. I'm going to throw out some questions to you, and then it's the first thing that pops in your head. You blurt it out.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Chocolate.
Favorite NBA player of all time?
John Havlicek.
Wow, that's a new one. Texting or talking?
Talking.
Favorite holiday?
That's a good one. Christmas.
What's the fastest speed you've ever driven a car?
100.
Nice. Invisibility or super strength?
Invisibility.
All right, Coach, this is a big one. For high school, shot clock or no shot clock?
Shot clock.
Thank you. How many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
2.
Always 2?
Always 2. I don't go fast 2.
Okay. Last one. Godfather or Star Wars?
Oh, Godfather, it's hands down. Yeah, not even close. I still watch Mobsters every Tuesday and Thursday on Reels.
Nice. Oh, Coach, thank you so much, man. I love getting to listen to you again. And
Thanks. Hey,
awesome.
listen, I love talking to you, man.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, now you got to come to practice right now. We got Lumblade down there.
Yes, Coach, thank you, man. Thank you so much for your time. And I can't wait to come see you at your
Okay,
school.
do it.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi Podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.